My Hero Academia, Season 3, Episode 17, titled Class 1A, continues on with Shoto Todoroki's battle against the students of Seijin High School, and they are managing to counter every move he makes with their quirks, with his fire being suppressed with water quirks and his ice being destroyed by super strength and just basically having big metal objects thrown at it. Seeing that he is being handedly outclassed, Todoroki creates this kind of wall of smoke combining his fire and their water. He manages to lure them with a decoy fire and explodes a tanker after realizing that since this is supposed to replicate an actual industrial, you know, place, it'll actually explode, but not kill everybody. And he manages to, cause an explosion that incapacitates the Seijin students and then encases them with ice, handedly passing the exam. However, Todoroki does note that his ability to switch back and forth between his hot quirk and his cold quirk is very much lacking, and he needs to be able to do it a little bit more on the fly, if not at the same time. That's his limitation there. He comes into the place where all the current winners are, and he spots Inase Yorashi, who shoots him a bit of a dirty look. Todoroki does kind of wonder about this guy, especially considering that he was so above Todoroki during the actual entrance exams to UA. Meanwhile, we cut back to Yayorozu, Jiro, Asui, and Seiji. I think that's his name, Seiji. Mr. Dupla Arms. As they have infiltrated this building in order to kind of get a lay of the land, more or less. They're trying to hide out Soji. So there we go, Soji. They're trying to get a bit of a lay of the land, and basically they start to kind of worry about how much time they have left, as it started to seem like there's the possibility that they might not pass. They kind of got to get a crack on actually passing the exams. Jiro notes that there are about 4 people coming up the stairs. However, we see that one of the students activates a speaker that immediately takes Jiro by surprise, and hearing it so suddenly, really does some damage to her. We see the entrance of Sei Academy and their team led by Seiko Intelli, who has the quirk IQ. So you see that she's a bit of the mastermind behind this whole plan, which is very elaborate and precise by having basically a sniper, come at them from the windows, pinning them down to a certain degree. Which is a very clever way of going about things, especially in such an enclosed space. Jiro tries to make a break for it and take out the people waiting behind the 2 adjacent doors because they're starting to be closed in on both sides. However, Jiro's equipment is destroyed and one of her earphone jacks is badly damaged. Momo realizes that they must have someone super intelligent calling the shots because it's way too coordinated, with the understanding of, what they needed to take out in order to incapacitate Jiro. We even have one of them using their ice quirk in order to freeze the ventilation system, causing Sue to kind of go into a hibernating, like a dormant state, basically. And at the emergency exit, one of the other students of Sei is welding the back entrance shut, leaving only one entrance available. One entrance, one exit. So, with all of them waiting behind the door, they basically, pinned down our heroes here. We get a little more information on Seiyai Academy's Psycho Intel. As I said before, her IQ is, I mean, her quirk is IQ, sorry. And it's actually very interesting as her quirk is, is actually to be have her intelligence amplified by how much tea she drinks, and it can alter her mental state depending on what kind of tea she drinks. But she already has a fairly high IQ of 150, which is pretty goddamn impressive if you don't know anything about IQ standards. But just know it is fairly high, especially for someone of her age. Momo starts to try to create something in order to hopefully close up the vents, so that they won't be freezing and all that good stuff. But she does end up realizing that that's exactly what the opponent wants. This creating this cold environment is specifically for the point of having Momo use up her creation ability, thus rendering her inert and unable to actually move or fight against them. It's the final move in Psycho's master plan, basically. Momo does wonder, and this is something that's a very crucial thing in this episode, what would Izuku do? And she realizes it's just to focus on saving her friends, doing what she needs to in order to get her friends out of a bad situation, which, says a lot about Izuku and the effect that he's had on the class as a whole. Having them strive to be better and be more committed to the people around them. Don't think so much, just act. Do what you need to help the people around you, which is a underlining thing for a hero to have, and is something very much that Momo herself needs to work on a little bit, where she overthinks situation, which is the biggest downfall to most people with high IQs, overthinking a situation or even underestimating people in a certain situation. So Momo creates these um, you know, headphones that'll, block off sound. I feel like there's a specific word for it, but I'm blanking on it. And she starts to create this massive object. Psycho starts to kind of revel in the fact that in a few minutes, they'll rush in and completely take down the students of Class 1A. However, this massive sound wave incapacitates everyone around her. And we see that Momo had created a massive amp for Jiro's, one still working earphone jack in order to send out her amplified heartbeat, which is able to paralyze and incapacitate people, and it reverberates through the entire building, completely taking down all of the students of Seiyai Academy. They kind of revel in the fact that they managed to take down all these people and go to, hit their targets and pass the exam. However, we find out that Seiko had managed to hold out and traps a weakened Momo behind the door, counting on the fact that the other students might see it as, Momo has already been taken out, they should just go on without her. Saiko wants to use this opportunity now that Momo has been weakened to at least get some form of revenge. However, not only is Momo able to still move because of all the endurance training she's had, which is shown to have come in very handy, but her friends come busting in order to save her, which Seko doesn't quite understand why they would still come back to save someone who might have already lost. But still remembering his moment with Izuku back in the forest during the training camp, Shoji is just like, no, we don't turn our back on our friends. We do whatever we can to save everyone. We save everyone. We don't give up. That is Class 1A. And it is a beautiful moment for something that is filler. This entire section is nothing but filler. It was not in the manga whatsoever, but it was great for showcasing, the moment with Todoroki where it showcases that he understands he still lacks certain things in terms of his abilities. He still has a bit of a ways to go, showing that Momo is taking the influence of both Todoroki, Ida, and Izuku to heart in the way that she acts as a hero, and even just Shoji's overall demeanor and response towards certain moments. It's just like these things did not occur in a vacuum and never impact them again. I mean, at least not in terms of the anime. And there was a lot of room to really explore this, and I'm glad they took it because there was a lot of room for character growth moments that just didn't happen in the manga. We are supposed to be seeing how far our students have come. And this was a great way of just showing off that the one with the most baggage out of any of the people in this room was Momo, and she came through. Momo is finally acting the way I originally assumed she would act instead of being relegated to the background. Again, at least in terms of the anime. It was just very great to see, and I'm glad the anime staff decided to go this route. And I love Seiko's parting words is just like as expected of UA, because they should are the top school. They should be meeting these challenges. Meanwhile, we pop back in on Bakugo, Kirishima, and of all people, Kaminari, who decided to up and just follow Bakugo, basically for shits and giggles. However, Kirishima manages to toss Bakugo out of the way of an attack by one of the students of Shiketsu High, namely Seiji Shishikura. I don't know why I paused so much in saying that, who has the ability to turn people into these globs of meat. Bakugo is just ready to go in. He has no hesitation and is just ready to act. Meanwhile, is on the flip side, Izuku is kind of planning things out, noticing that a lot of the students from before were so hasty in wanting to take one of the members of Class A down. He realizes that with so many students passing, 60 at this point, a lot of students will be rushing and just kind of not really paying attention so much. So Izuku wants to use the quirks of Sero in order to bind them, and Oraka, who allows them to float, which, can't really move too much, in order to, strike at them and take them down. Meanwhile, we see all the students of Ketsubutsu High who are still on the hunt for our three protagonists. Ultimately, Izuku decides he'll be a decoy so that the other two can go to work, and whereas Sero has his reservations about this whole plan, Uraraka, again, has been influenced by Deku, and because of everything she's seen from Deku, trusts his plan unequivocally. Meanwhile, we get a bit of insight into the mind of Saiji's, and how he perceives things, whereas the students of Shiketsu wear their hats in order to represent themselves wherever they may go. Bakugo is more of a hot-headed, hot-tempered, and just acts however he feels no matter what, which, Saiji is just not about that and finds it disgraceful as a whole. He does not act. He respects UA, but Bakugo does not act as someone who is deserving of respect. So Saiji can't really consolidate those two things. But we even get this nice little aside with Aizawa and Joke discussing the fact that, Aizawa is coming to an understanding about something that he hadn't realized before. And as we see, Deku and the rest carrying out his plan of just, luring others away, Sarah coming in to bind people, Uraraka causing others to float and capturing those people, and Bakugo going up against Seiji's quirk of creating these kind of flesh homing flesh objects, he goes on to say that, both Bakugo and Deku have had a big impact on Class 1A as a whole and raised how they perceive things and how they act. Bakugo has had the influence of making them want to do better. We saw it a bit during the training in order to get here, in that Bakugo went straight in full force, and that kind of influenced some of the students as they wanted to also just go right in, go hard, improve themselves as much as possible to their fullest capabilities. Whereas Izuku had more of an impact on their mind and their spirit because of his, indomitable determination, his willpower, his never say die attitude. Just keep going forward, do what you can for your friends and the people around you. Both have done a lot in order to boost how Class 1A operates on a personal level. And I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing to take away from this. Aizawa has unequivocal respect for his students and how they've started to grow and adapt to the world around them. This is Class 1A, and they are going to be great heroes. And that's the end of the episode. I think it was a great selling point. I'm always happy to have filler that actually serves a overall purpose to the story and shows things that we weren't shown before. I'm happy to have actually gotten to see Momo and um uh well, Jiro mostly. Sue didn't really get to do too much here, but she had an episode all to herself, so I'll let that pass. But even having Shoji cradling Sue in this protective blanket in order to keep her warm was the most adorable thing out of all of this. But how just having a emphasis on the impact that Izuku, specifically, if nothing else, Izuku has had the biggest positive impact on all the students in Class 1A. That's why so many of them were willing to follow him at the onset of the overall exam, because so many have grown to trust Deku and his judgment. Kid knows his shit. Bakugo pushes them forward in more of that they want to improve, but Deku has improved them towards becoming heroes. And I think that is an absolutely fantastic thing to highlight. A great episode that did so much to further certain people's character and the respect that Deku has garnered in terms of his peers. But that's all I really have to say about this episode. The theme of this episode was very clear when you watch it. It was all about Deku is amazing, and the thing that have the thing that has pushed people forward in terms of how they see him is the thing that he had even before his quirk, and that's just his personality and the way he is, which I think is an absolutely wonderful message. It's not his power that inspires people, it is his personality. But tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comments below, and leave me a like if you liked what I had to say about it, or even a dislike if you didn't. Go ahead and subscribe for more My Hero Academia. These kids are going places.